I'm going to give you an introduction into the genetics lab of Beyond Labs today. One way to get started in this lab is to start from the species menu, where you can select any of these species, right? So you can select fruit flies to do the basic fruit fly experiments, but we'll start with pea plants just to show you the most traditional genetics experiments. Once you choose your species, then you go into the setup menu, and then you can choose one or more different species traits. So for example, we'll do flower color, that's the most traditional one, and then you can set the alleles of the parents. So for example, if I set this parent with 2 white alleles and I randomize the alleles on that parent, then I can adjust how many offspring they have, set up the cross, and now we get our summary statistics, right? How many of each type we have, how many purples, how many whites, how did we get these phenotypes based on the genotypes that were set. You can see images if you want. Okay, based on the 2 parents, what colors did I get for each of these different offspring? You could then see if that matches how you made your Punnett squares. All of that can be tested here. You can save these, and you can then set up a next generation. You could set up next generation self-crossing if you want, or manual crosses, random crosses. All of these factors can be then tested to then create your second generation offspring, and then comparing the colors that you saw here. How are we seeing our dominant versus our recessive traits? Another thing that you could do is do population genetics instead of Mendelian genetics. Do a Hardy-Weinberg simulation here, or you can set up basic crosses. All of this is adjustable from within this setup menu. You could also start from within our presets menu, a couple basic presets that we think could be a good way to get started of incomplete dominance or dominance on different traits. So in this situation, if you load one of our lab presets, then the lab is already all set up. You don't need to worry about setting things. You can just get right into it, set up the cross, be able to examine what size ears you see in this specific situation. So all of that can be found from within these preset menus. If you set up an experiment and then you want to be able to come back to it at any point, or if you want to share the link, you can always click this Save Lab button, and that will allow you in this My Saved Labs menu to be able to rename it if you want and say this is where I stopped today, right? Whatever type of name you wanted to create there, so then next time you load the lab, you could always load from exactly this point, or you could copy the link and share it with someone if you needed help. All of that is found within the presets menu. The lab book menu will be where any data that you collect, that you save it to, and you can also record your observations here. All of that is stored within the lab book menu, and I've already showed you the species menu, setup menu, and the live data was where we saw all of the data. So I hope this is a good introduction into the genetics lab.